what are the negative consequences of AI that we need to be aware of? Okay. Yes. I think any technology, especially something as powerful as AI, I think it is wise to anticipate that there could be some negative side effects, some negative consequences. So we need to be realistic that there can be negative consequences. There are many, many aspects to this. I'm going to maybe focus on a couple which are more end-user focused, where we can say, me as a user of AI, what could be the negative consequences for me? And if we look at it from that perspective, I would say, firstly, AI can be such a useful tool that we actually become increasingly dependent on it. If it does good in my accounting, I'm going to give it more accounting. And then it does good there, I might say, hey, could you also help me with this? Could you also help me with this? Pretty soon it's doing a lot. We want to be careful that we are not becoming over-dependent in a way that we are losing our own fundamental ability to be competent in many areas. So we want to always maintain that I can always step in and do this. It's I think, like a good manager. A good manager ideally is able to step in and do something with their own hands. They got to be able to do it. So we need to be smart with that. The other piece is that, as far as an end user goes, is that we can also develop emotional connection with AI, which is positive in a way. We actually have rich interactions, emotional bonding, but this can at some point cross a certain line where if I bond to such an extent that I am starting to now focus more on my relationship with the AI and the real world relationships I have with real people, I'm kind of dropping that. Now, I think this is a negative consequence. I would consider this a negative consequence because I feel as human beings, one of the most precious experiences we can have as human beings is our interactions, our rich connections with other human beings. There is absolutely no substitute for that. That is very fundamental to a human life, where we see somebody, we connect with them, we empathize with them, we feel for them, they feel for us. This is beyond any kind of technology. This is very important to human life. So if AI starts chipping away at these real connections I have, not only with people, but I would include nature, I would include our furry pets and animals, all this, if we start losing touch with that and excessively engaging with AI, then to me personally, I would consider that a very negative consequence. And when I look at social media, when I look at the mobile device and how we have behaved with that, to me, this is really an area of concern because we have kind of fallen into that trap with social media and mobile devices. We have excessively started bonding with social media content instead of real content. So we crossed a line somewhere. And I think we are starting to correct, by the way, with social media, where we're starting to realize that my Facebook friend is not the same as a real friend. Let's face it, it's not the same. So similarly, I think with AI, we need to be cautious when it comes to social connections. So these two things I mentioned are primarily sort of the end user perspective. From the perspective of the folks who are at the bleeding edge of AI development, there are many, many, many interesting trade-offs that are constantly being made by these small set of cutting edge folks. I feel these individuals have to operate from a high state of consciousness. If they operate from a low state of consciousness, they may unconsciously program their limitations into the guts of the digital brain. And it will show up in its expression. And that could be a negative consequences we have to watch out for. Currently, I feel like we are excessively focused on the technology as if I have the right heuristics, the right training, the right data, the right compute, that will make it great. I think we're missing the fact that the consciousness, level of consciousness of the people programming these systems does matter. So I feel, to respond to the question, a negative consequence of AI could be we build an AI, but it doesn't have sufficiently high level of consciousness for the long run. And so it will be, if you think of it as a human being, instead of being big-minded, it will be more small-minded. So it's very specialized, it's very good, very skillful, like a surgeon. But it's very small-minded, meaning its consciousness is very small. I think in the long run, we got to have something that has a big level of consciousness, because that's what will help us in a way that's altruistic, benevolent for all beings. We want AI to be like that, rather than it's really good for this group, but this other group, never mind. We don't want an AI like that. So a negative consequence could be our training is skewed, our programming is imbalanced and limited, so we kind of make the brain equally limited. So these are just a couple of ways of looking at it. But these are real things. I think the significant takeaways for both people working on AI and us, most of us who are consuming this. So I think we need to be watchful for that. When you choose light, life becomes increasingly joyful, purposeful, and inspired. I invite you to join me to explore the realms of light, the infinite possibilities that light offers.